So this afternoon we're going to be working on replacing the electric door lock actuator. In this case for me it is the rear passenger side. So it works manually, but of course it doesn't work when I try to use my remote or any of the electrics. So the little actuator has died. And if it's not locked, and when you try to beep it, it won't work, right? If it's open like this, you try to beep it, it doesn't beep. So if that's your case, go around and figure out which one's not locking, go manually lock them all, and then I bet you it'll beep. So we're gonna replace it. It's actually right in here. In fact, I have the replacement part right here. All right, so there's our actuator. So I bought this from Rock Auto, about $100 for the original scene part. So significantly cheaper than buying it from a knockoff part from your local parts house, so that's good. So the first thing we're gonna do is take the door off. It's pretty easy. We gotta get yourself a little trim tool if you don't have one. There's a little bolt in here. We're gonna take that out. This is gonna come off. There's a second bolt in there. All right, so to get this one, you really don't need a tool at all. You just wanna gently get under here with your fingers and pop it, and it'll just pop off. And that comes off. So there's our one screw. Get in here, pry this guy gently. Just work it. Don't want to break anything. Boom, that comes off. There's our second screw. And our third screw is under here, so we're going to pry under here, pop this guy out. Right. That's number 3. All we need to do is disconnect the harness. Depending on which door you remove, the harnesses can look a little different, but you want to disconnect this guy. And then we're going to do 1, 2, 3, and then we'll just pop the door off. Easy peasy. All right, so now that we got the 3, got this harness disconnected, and we've got our 1, 2, 3 out. The easiest place to start is right here. You can actually get a little bit of a ledge, and boom. All right, so the whole thing just pulls apart. All right, it's just got little poppers. Okay, and once we get it loose all the way to the top, this has a lip, so we're going to lift up and out, and it'll come off. And when we put it back, it's gonna be the same thing. We're gonna want to kind of gently set it back in that lip. You'll actually see the teeth that are in there, and it'll come out. Now the last thing we want to do is there's a set of cables behind here. So once we lift it up, we'll need to undo those cables. Okay, so I've got it undone. So up and out. And then last but not least, okay, we've got a harness here. We're gonna undo this harness, okay? Just push on the little tabs, they'll come out. Okay, I think we got another harness here. Okay, that came out. And then last but not least, these guys. So you're just gonna pop them off like that. Okay, so that's how they go back, right? So that you just put them back in, and then once you get them off, you can see that they just pop out like that, right? Okay, so I actuated this one here, comes out. Now that that's out, you can actually remove the door. All right, so we need to get to it from behind this plastic. All right, so this is actually the plug that we're gonna get to. All right. Okay, so we need to get this off, so you can gently pry back this goo, and then we can put it back. And we want to put this back, so don't cut this off. Just work with the goo, get it off so we can put it back. As we're working through this, you can reach in here and depress this clip, get it out, okay? Now this is basically the only thing that's holding it on. So we're gonna detach it and we're gonna remove it from underneath, right? So we'll just take it out, and then we can put the new one back in. Now for this job, you are gonna need a special tool. You're gonna need a T30, right? So you can either get it in socket form, which is what I have, or you could potentially get it in a handheld, but you're gonna need a T30 to get these undone. All right, so to get these rear doors, a lot easier to do the front door, but the rear door, you've gotta undo this little bolt here that holds the window track, right? So make sure your window's open. Undo that, and undo this one as well to give it a little more room, right? That lets this track move over. And then we wanna actually get to it from the bottom. We wanna come in underneath here. We're going to work it until there's a kind of a position you can get to and it'll slide out. So that's what we're going to get to. Takes a little patience, but we'll get it. All right, so I ended up kind of bringing it down, pointed down, kind of rotating it around and out. So now we can get it out. There's our old actuator. We'll swap the cables out and then we'll put the new one in. Okay, so there's the old one. Here's our new one. So the new one has these flaps that are already open, right? So we know we need to get in there to get at them. There's number one. Okay, and he just slides up and out. We'll replace them one at a time. Okay, so there's number one in there. Close him up. All right, so I used a flathead screwdriver to basically break this second one open, but I'm replacing it, so I really don't care. So we're gonna pop that, and then this guy just twists right out, right? So now we'll put him in the new one. All right, so we got it in the new one. Close it up. There we go. So now this guy's ready to be reinserted. All right, putting it back in, I put kind of the, let me take the old one here. So I kind of put it in kind of like this and just slid it up there. It's a lot easier putting it in, it felt like, than taking it out. So we want our wires on this side of the track, right? So we can put our window track back now, but first we gotta reattach it, right? So we can easily reach back here, get our bolts aligned here and get it lined up. Now the other thing we want to be careful and cognizant of is there's a little, see if I can, so there's this is the actuator right here. So there's on the back, right, this metal actuator needs to line up and slip into that groove in there. So when you're putting it in there, make sure you're catching that. All right, so it was a bit of a challenge. I kind of had to work it from behind and really feel the engagement of that white fork. That white fork is the outer handle, right? So basically you can validate that you did it right if you can actually open the door, okay? Also, once you got it, this white one is the, whether it's locked or not, in is locked, out is unlocked. So pull it to unlock it and then test if you can close and open your door. Right, so then you know that you've got it engaged. We can finish putting this together. Okay, so got all three in here nice and tight. Should have your child lock actuator, should be sticking through. You should, before we go any further, make sure you test your outer door. Make sure you can actually open it, okay? Now we got these guys, got our harness, right? So we need to start putting everything back together. So we need to put all of our sticky back together. We need to run these back through the hole in the plastic. And so we'll do that now. Shame on me, I almost forgot to put my window tracks back. So we'll put those back. All right, so now that we got this sticky put back together, got our guys on the outside, and most importantly, we've got our harness hooked up. Let's test it before we go any further. All right, so an easy way to test it is just with the front door. All right, locked. All right, so in is locked, out is unlocked, so we should be able to pull it out. Yes, we can. All right, so lock it again. Okay, so now we'll lock it. So we unlocked one, we locked it. Okay, so now let's check the unlock. There we go, so it's unlocked. You could also test it by opening and closing the door, of course. So lock. Unlock. Ta-da! All right, so that's good. So now we need to finish putting the door together. So we got that back in. We got our window tracks back in. We've got the goo put back to place. So I had to actually taken this off. So let's put that back as well. So there we go. So when this is one of the screw anchor points. So when we screw back in, we're gonna end up making a new hole, but that's okay. All right, so now we can put the door back together. Okay, we got our 1, 2, 3 put back together. Got our harness back in. plug that in. Slip this guy in. Try to get him from the front and then the back. And last but not least, this guy also just pops back on, and voila. There are our doors back together, easy peasy. And now we have our new actuator. How nice is that? Took maybe, I don't know, 45 minutes. So not too bad. Talk to you next time.